researchers who take us through the length and breadth of what it entails to become a very good researcher. And we've had several sessions in the past. Some addressed social values, time management, stress management, where while others are addressed um, the others address some pertinent topics that are really required. Some addressed research. I think I can't seem to remember. However, I'll go through the event again, and then probably in the course of this speech, in the course of this lecture, I'll try to go through it again and then try to bring us down the memory lane. So sorry for that. So without further ado, we always have like is our normal practice. Our program of events is scheduled as the first 10 minutes, that's from 9 to 9:10, we'll have the welcome note and reading of speakers bio. And afterwards, we'll have the lecture proper, which is going to take about 50 minutes from 9:10 to 10 o'clock. Then afterwards, we'll have 20 minutes of questions and answers. So if you have your questions probably in the course of the lecture or probably afterwards, be rest assured that we'll attend to all questions. You can drop your questions in the chat box or probably wait until we get a chance to call you after the lecture. We are very confident that our speaker will do justice to the question. After that, we're gonna have like vote of thanks within 8 minutes, which will be taken by one of the ESCOs here present, and then at 10:30 we're going to draw the curtains to the session. I would like to acknowledge the presence of our President Alabia Habib, and other distinguished members of the executives, and also the honorary members of the NSA at large. So please permit me to state that that was just about the welcome note, and we don't want to take much of our time. So in light of that, I'll proceed to take the short bow of the speaker for the day. So the speaker for the day is Engineer Adeyi Kudus Babatunde. Engineer Adeyi Kudus Babatunde is a research assistant in the Soil and Water Engineering Lab at the Agricultural Civil Engineering Department here in KNU, Kyungpook National University. So his research interests include precision agriculture, environmental sustainability, climate change, and remote sensing. So he currently has a particular focus on crop mapping in data scarce regions using advanced techniques. So Engineer Adeyi recently completed his master's degree in agricultural civil engineering at Kyungpook National University. He holds a bachelor's degree in agriculture and biosystems engineering from the reputable University of Ilorin, Beta by far. So permit me to welcome to the podium, even though we don't have any, Engineer Kudus. Engineer Kudus, you have the floor. You
All
can
right.
yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, loudly.
All right. So good evening, everyone, and good morning from. Okay, good day, everyone from all over the world. So, as rightly introduced, my name is Adeyi Kudus Baba today, and today let me share my screen. I don't know if you can see my screen now. I think it's up.
Yes, it's up. We can see your screen.
All right. So good evening, everyone. So once again, so I'll be presenting the topic, which is ethical access digital tools for research and professional development.
Oh, we can only see your Chrome screen, right? The Chrome page.
Home page.
Yes, we could.
Stop sharing. Okay, maybe I think I'm sharing. Okay, let me share the entire screen then. Can you see my screen now?
Well, yes, this is perfect.
All right. So, firstly, I would like to thank the organizer of this program, for giving the opportunity to actually present and or for inviting me to talk on this topic. I also want to thank everyone for being present in this for this program. So without wasting much of our time, I would like to present on ethical access, digital tools for research and professional development, data privacy and security, intellectual rights, and live demo. Uh, for me, actually, the topic is too long for me, so I'll try. I would like to just break it down to digital tools for research and develop and professional development. So, what are the digital tools that we can use to enhance our productivity and make our work actually smooth and smoother, faster, less stress, and the like. So I will try as much as possible to introduce some tools to us and also introduce us to how we can, as a student, as a graduate student, how we can use that platform to actually get access to some of the proprietary tools on in today. So mostly this program will be is more of practical rather than lecture. I want to use a practical approach. But before I do that, I have a few slides that I would like to talk about. So this is the agenda of my presentation. I'll talk about the overview of digital tools for research. What are the ethical considerations in using digital tools for research? And also, I would like to show us a demo session. Now, my demo session is categorized into, let's say, three sections. The first one is, okay, as KNU students, what are the tools that we have access to as KNU students? So there's a site and also via the library, how can we access these tools? I'll show us that. And also, as a graduate student with a valid ID card and student identification number, what are the tools, some of the tools we can have access to? There are numerous tools. I'll just introduce us to a few and also maybe provide guide on how we can actually get more updates on other tools. So the overview of digital tools for research. So basically, when we talk about digital tools for research, we know these are the tools we use in our day-to-day activities to actually ease our work. So I would like to bring types of these tools to divide it into this section. We have tools that we use for planning and management of our research projects. Research is a project on its own, so it needs proper management and planning. Also, for us to build on the shoulders of giants, we need to get access to literature. So there are some tools we use for literature search. So the main reason I'm not going to talk about literature search because we've had several sessions on that. So it's excluded in my topic of discussion for today. And also we have data collection analysis. So I'll talk a little bit about this. Reference management, we've done this. Editing and paraphrasing. So basically, today I will just introduce us to these three types of tools for researchers: the data collection analysis, collaboration and communication, and let's say coding, which is still part of the data collection and analysis. So what are the importance of data tools for research? Okay, these tools, we are saying these tools. So what are the importance of it? Number one, it enhance our efficiency. It enhance our productivity and effectiveness of our research. And also, with the advent of AI tools and the likes, it also helps us to overcome barriers and challenges in our work. So these are the major importance of digital tools for research. Also, while we are using these tools, there is something that is very, very important and key in using these tools. We need to consider the ethics. Fine, research on its own has its own ethics. Now, in using the digital tools for research, there are ethics, there are ethical considerations. So I would like to introduce us to some of the ethical considerations. One of the things is the ethical access to research. So it should be responsible and transparent use of digital tools in research. Fine. Any tools we are using, it should be there should be transparent use of that tools. And also we know research should be reproducible. So it should be used in a responsible manner and it should be transparent use. And also, in any research we are using that, let's say the data we are using involves individual, let's say community, businesses, and the likes, we should try as much as possible that any tools we are using should protect the rights and privacy of individuals and community. Other considerations also include informed consent and data protection and the transparency in data collection and analysis. Now, one of the things that we also need to note is that for every tools we are using, they have licenses. For example, there are some tools that you can take, modify the content of that tools, even modify the whole code based on the license. Based on the license of that code, you can change the whole functionality of some tools. That one, you don't need to, you just need to acknowledge them. Why there are some tools, even though they provide all the codes, everything that you need that you can modify, they don't allow you to modify it. They still want you to maintain the license of that tools. So these are the some of the ethical considerations that we need to consider in our research. So without further ado, like I said, this this presentation is more practical. So I would like to go to the demo session now. For the demo session, like I rightly said, it's been divided into 3 sections. The first one I would like to introduce us to is the tools actually provided by KNU, and these tools can be located in 2 different platforms, which is the UICC website, and the KNU library website. So we like to go to the demo session now. So can you see my screen? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So for the demo session, let me start from.
I'm sorry, sir. You can minimize that pop-up. That yes, just
okay. Let me just close this. So for the demo session, we need to go to uicc.knu.ac.kh. Now on this website, you cannot translate it to Korean, so it's okay. So let me just log in. Now, this is the website. Now, to actually access the tools being provided by KNU, there are some tools they provide. So you click on this Jumbo Wase Subiso. So when you click on it, you can just scroll down. You click on this. Now, under this section, we have, no, it's this one. So on this page, they actually list some of the tools that we have access to. For example, for carrying out our research activities. So these are like paid tools, things like MATLAB, SAS SPSS data, even for internet security software and V3Net. So we have some of these tools on the KNU website. So this is just listing it. If you actually want to download any of these tools, we just click on this and it will actually redirect us to this. So although we have only these 9 tools on this website, so we can actually explore this, especially the MATLAB section. When you click on the MATLAB, it will show us how to actually activate it. So this is for the one of the 2 actually provided by KNU. Another one is if we go to the library section. So you need to log in. So when you log in, you can go to research learning and supports. So when you click on research learning and supports, we have some of these tools, especially Turnitin, which we can use for plagiarism, to check the plagiarism in our paper. So you can follow the instruction here to actually access the sites, and also for more information about research ethics, you can actually get more information on the KNU library page under research and learning support. So recently, I also got access to, for example, I was trying to download this paper online. I was trying to check it. I could not find the paper. Fortunately for me, I was able to access this paper from the library page. So this is just to remind us that, okay, for example, there are some papers that are not freely available online. You can always come to the library page to actually search for any paper here or textbook. Even recently, I was trying to search for some textbook on, although I don't think I got any information on this. So what I'm just trying to show is that, okay, we can always, for example, this one too, ebook, we can always come to the library page, search for textbooks on the library. So they are physical, you can get the hard copy or the printed copy, while you can also download the ebooks from this page. So this is for the tools provided by KNU. So another tool that will actually introduce us to, which is what we call GitHub student package. Now, this GitHub student package, student developer pack, is a very robust tool. Like when you have access to it, you can easily access other tool. So in order to do this, I would like to show us how to access the GitHub education program. I don't want to use the other browser because my GitHub is actually. Now, for the GitHub education program, the only thing you need is actually a scan copy of your ID card or enrollment certificates. So you only need either of the two to actually register for this. So the verification will take about, it might take about 10 days. It might be immediately. And like, so what are the things you have access to when you have access to the student developer pack? Now, one thing I want us to also note is that you don't need to be a developer or someone that code before you can access this. Like, because it has some, once you have access to this, you can easily use some other tools. Now, for example, on this, when you have access to the student developer pack alone, you have access to some courses and tools. For example, things like introduction to web development, data science. For those that want to pick up these new skills, you can actually access them from this pack. It's like it's a pack which different tools, program, and trainings. So these are all the tools. For example, now when you have access to these tools, you can easily get access to Notion, which is you can use it for managing your projects, for managing your research, capture thoughts, note taking, and the likes. Once you have access to this, you can easily get this. Another thing is that JetBrains, things like PyCharm, the professional edition, you can have access to it. Although this needs to be renewed annually. So when you have access to, another thing is for hosting. So these are one of the benefits of being a student. For hosting now, you can host on DigitalOcean using the access you have to the GitHub page, your name chip. Like, for example, you want to create your research page, you can actually create domain name from Namecheap using this student package. Others, and also for those that develop and write code, you have access to the pro version of GitHub while you are still a student. So you have the direct access automatically. So on this page, you can deploy your websites, manage your codes, and also even provide access to your code. For example, after doing analysis, you want to provide the code used in writing your paper. You can actually use GitHub to share that. So another name, domain name that you can use is name.com. And another thing is that you have access to Visual Studio Pro, the Pro version. Now, one thing is for those that does front-end master, front-end development, this is one of the best courses you can actually take. So you have, although it's just 6 months access to all courses and workshops. So these are one of the, and one of the major thing is for this, like StreamYard. While you are still a student, you have access to StreamYard, where you use for live streams and the likes. So these are one of the functionality or the opportunity you get when you have access to the GitHub Education Pack. So one important thing is the GitHub Copilots, which is one of the two I've actually enjoyed. Like I've been using for a while now. Instead of writing a lot of codes with GitHub Copilot, it's just about your coding assistant. There are some things you don't need to repeat. It can always make suggestions. And also you can use the Copilot to, for example, write a messy code, just give it to the Copilot to actually optimize the code and also make the code more neat, like writing a neat code. So you can actually use that. So this is one of the major functionality or one of the major benefits of using GitHub Copilot. So I'm unable to, okay, I think I can do from here. So let me just show us how to access it, because I'm actually on it, so it might not. Okay, so if you want to sign up, no. So I will need to sign in. So so since I have access to it already, I'll be able to actually set up. But it's actually straightforward for anyone. And another thing is that I also like us to look at. Let me follow my slides. Okay, is when you have access to GitHub Copilots. Now, one of the things I've always done is before I start any projects, I would like to check. Okay, I would like to check online, especially on GitHub, and try to see if anyone has done something close related to anything I want to do. Like, is there any tools that is a very readily available, like open source tool and the likes. And also, one of the tricks that I've learned recently is, let's say if I want to learn anything, for example, let's say I want to learn climate change and scaling now, how to do the analysis. Maybe I want to write code. There's no readily available proprietary tools, or the proprietary tool is not freely available. Now, there is something I've noticed is that anytime people want to write, you can just say awesome climate. You put awesome climate. Now, majorly, when you write awesome climate, I don't know the reason behind the awesome, but what you have noticed is that, for example, this open climate science, now if you open it and write awesome science, like they will give you everything relating to this open atmosphere, ocean, and climate science. Everything related to it. Like, for example, if you look at this now, we have awesome open atmospheric ocean and climate science, the content, the software, data repositories, tutorials, cheat sheets, miscellaneous. So this is one. Like, there are other ones like awesome foundation model. And one thing about all these tools is that they always, even research paper, you can find research paper. For example, look at this now. This like awesome foundation models for weather and climate. So it's like a professionally created list of large foundation model for this climate science data understanding. Now, if you look at this, it lists the papers, the publications, and even they will create it in sections, like large foundation model for weather and climate, the papers, and the codes. For example, these are task-specific model. So these are based on different models, diffusion-based models. So this is like one of the tricks we can actually use to actually get more information about, instead of going online to search for paper. For example, trying to get more people on this now, it will take time, but at least you can start from somewhere. Why you also make more further research or more research on the papers that you need. So that's another tool I would like to introduce us to. And also one of the tools that I've actually also enjoyed recently, and I think it will actually be good for our research, is perplexity.ai. Now, perplexity.ai is a search engine, and a very like Perplexity is here to just send Google search out of markets. What do I mean by that? This Perplexity AI is this far away from hallucination that we have, like can actually encounter on ChatGPT and the likes. This will actually is a search engine. It provides informations and also the source of those info. For example, I say, who is the president of Nigeria? Let's see. For example, now normally Google will just list sources, like it will list everything. For example, if you look at this, now where am I getting this from? I can actually do this. And even beyond this, I can still say what is the trend, what is the research. So let me just say this. So for example, now it will actually bring the source of, so it's a very powerful research tool that you can actually try to use. And one thing is that it will always bring the source of anything is actually showing. For example, it refers to this paper, just bring out the highlight the points, and over time that I've used this, that actually most of this is actually from the paper. So it's also a very powerful tool that we can actually explore in our day-to-day research activity. So another one that we actually like to introduce us to is Zenodo. Now, one thing I've actually enjoyed about Zenodo is the fact that you can actually get, it's like a data set repository where researchers actually keep their data sets. For example, if I search something like food consumption data sets now, so it has a lot of data sets, like, and you can also use this platform to share your data sets. So for example, just searching for food consumption alone, the data set that has open access is 91,000 something. Restricted access, we have this embargoed, maybe they still need to verify the viability or validity of the data sets. That's why it's still embargo. So also on this platform, you have you can also download different softwares on this platform. So it's a platform, we can actually explore this to get access to data sets, images, presentations, other posters, video. Like it's also a very good repository we can actually explore in our day-to-day activities. So before I go to AI related tools, so another tool that I think we can also explore in our day-to-day activities. For example, you have a graph that you want to extract the data set from those graphs, like data points from each, like a plotted graph. You want to extract the data points from each graphs. So you can use graphreader.com. Go to graphreader.com to actually do that. For example, we have all these, let's say charts now. So what you just need to do is, what is the y-axis, the highest value on the y-axis, the lowest value on the y-axis. Is it on log scale? You can do that. And this, so the point interpolation, like the crop sampling. So what is the precision? So you can actually use this to generate data points from your graph. Let's say you want, maybe you're carrying out some analysis. You now want to compare results from different studies, and you need to extract the data points. So you can actually use this tool. So this tool is a very, very good one that we can use to actually extract data from a graph. So the next one I also like us to look at is Hugging Face charts. Now, one thing about Hugging Face charts is that is exactly like is also a charts platform like ChatGPT, but on this tool you have access to different models. That's one. You have access to different assistants. So different models from, especially the open source model. For example, now the Meta Llama is open source. There's no restriction. You can keep using it as much as possible. So these are, for example, now on this ChatGPT chat alone, you have access to these models, and it also works. It performs operations well too compared to ChatGPT. So if you don't have access to the proprietary ChatGPT, the enterprise ChatGPT, you can. This is also a very good alternative to all those charts. Another specific features about this Hugging Face charts is that you have access to different assistants, like different assistants, AI assistant that you can use. For example, let's say you have this Python coding expert GPT. And so with this now, this assistant, what this assistant will help you to do is help you to write code in Python. So we have different assistants that we can also explore. And one thing is that it's open source, so different people, different researchers from all over the world, developers, they always create new and advanced model. Even there's academic assistants here. Academic assistants. So this is another one. Another function of Hugging Face that I also want us to look at, apart from the charts, is the Hugging Face itself. So we go to huggingface.co. Now, on this page, one thing about this page is you don't necessarily need to be a developer or a programmer or anybody to actually use this platform. On this platform, we have models like open source models, data sets, and spaces. Now, this platform has proprietary access to. It also has the free. There's also the free access. For example, if you come here, the hub, this is free, the pro account, where you can actually train your model on this. But what I'm specific about today is not the model. I explore this, not the data set, is the spaces. So on these spaces, you can actually come here. Now, what this space does is developers actually create spaces for and release it for people to actually explore and use. For example, one of my bookmark here is the AI research assistant space. Fine. This space is still under development, not fully developed. But one of the things I actually enjoy about this space is that if you go to the advanced settings now, you can see the agent prompts actually used to fine tune the AI model. Now, I can copy this, like, okay, I want you to think AI critical thinker, social assistant is to write well-written critical analysis. And so we can actually look at the prompts, the kind of prompts that they use. So this is one of the AI research assistants you can actually explore and also use in our day-to-day activity. For example, for English polishing, you can also use this. This is still under development. So this is one of the tools we can actually explore in our day-to-day activity. So the next one is POE. POE. Fine. This platform of application is an application you can actually install it on your system. Also give you access to different tools, different research assistants, different model on this platform. You can actually access them on the platform. And one of the things about POE is that when you subscribe to this, instead of subscribing to, let's say you need access to different AI models like Claude, GPT, Mistral, all other models. So instead of subscribing to each of these AI models, what POE does is, once you subscribe on POE, you have access to this model, although it might be limited access. For example, okay, for GPT 4.0 now, there'll be this number of calls per day. For example, for this subscription alone, which is 24,000 per month, you can have access to GPT 4 Turbo, Claude, and more. So instead of subscribing to GPT 4 alone, I don't know the price, maybe Claude and the like, you can just subscribe on this platform and have access to this. Now, this is for subscription. Now, there are various free bots or assistants that are available on these two professional boards. Like, you can just explore and try to get access to most of these platform. So this is a very good tool that we can also explore. So another thing I also like to bring our attention to is that for every software, most software, they have student version. Like, let's say instead of using crack version, most softwares we actually, especially that software mostly used by researchers, mostly have student version. For example, tools like for some of us that are engineers, for example, tools like AutoCAD now. If we need access to AutoCAD, I can just see AutoCAD students. So, for example, now as a student, provided I have a valid ID card, I can actually access have access to this. So all I would just need to do is go through this. So what I would just advise us to do is for every tool we want to use, let's try as much as possible to try to get or check whether there is a student guide and student access for the tool. So let me go back to the slide. So this is so another tool that I would have loved to introduce us to is Notebook LM. But while I was trying to do some demo today, I observe, for example, the last time I used this Notebook LM, I was trying to read one report by IPCC. Now, when I gave this Notebook LM the reports, I asked Notebook LM to summarize it. Now, what this platform actually does is still an experimental, it's still at experimental stage. So it's actually converted the reports to a podcast. And they were actually analyzing, for example, discussing each of the points to a male and a female. They're actually discussing the key points or the key takeaway from this report. So it's also a very good tool, although it's still under development, and I'm not sure there will be student access when it is fully developed. So I think that's all for my hand. So thanks for listening. I don't know if there's any other question. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you so much for this well packaged lecture. It's interesting. Actually, it just felt as if you shouldn't stop, because personally, I've been noting down a few things, and I really want to say a very big thank you for doing justice to this lecture. As a matter of fact, we have a lot of time at our disposal. Hopefully, we can iron out a few questions and see if we can turn this whole thing into a discussion and also benefit from your immense knowledge. Thank you so much for the wonderful lecture. I'm very sure that a lot of people would have questions, and please, oh, okay, please just hang in there. We will take the questions as they come in. If you have questions, you can just drop it in the chat box. And so at the beginning of the event, I had mentioned that the knowledge sharing committee had completed some events previously. So we had the first session on the career pathways within Korea, where we ironed navigating post-study experience and job search through Miss Osaina here in Korea. And then the next one was the one from Dr. Shogo all the way from Austria. He talked about visa, networking strategies, job search, career development, and all that is outside Korea. And also afterwards, we had another one from scholar engineer Arebeshola, who handled the freelancing tips, unlocking extra income opportunities in Korea. Then afterwards, we had adapting to change, goal setting and plan and stress management, self-care practices, mastering time change and stress skills for academic success. So hopefully we're also gonna have another one before the end of the month, and hopefully that might be the last for the 2024 session. So I just decided to just take us through what the non-sharing committee had done previously. This is going to be the fifth lecture. So we move straight to questions and answers. I want to believe a lot of people have questions and answers. As a way of summary, I would like to just wrap it up by saying that the lecturer had explored several ways in leveraging. Oh, I see ants already. Would you please just wait? So in leveraging several freebies that we have that we feel may not be at our disposal, probably out of ignorance, or probably out of the fact that we just don't want to like explore. So we have been given all these things on a platter of gold cheaply, and we can also make reference to this as this is currently being recorded. We can have a look at the video. If we feel probably the information is quite enormous, we can refer to it later and probably check it on our website. So the speaker mentioned quite a lot of tools that we can leverage in this AI world. We can also explore several data sets from different fields. The speaker mentioned the graph reader, which can be used for data mining, for assessing, for abstracting data points from figures. The speaker also mentioned several other tools like the GitHub Student Developer Pack, which is actually a large embodiment of resources for students like us to explore. I personally I recommend this particular pack. It comes at no cost, and we can develop our skills, the digital skills, and also we can also perfect our research skills as well. The speaker mentioned the GitHub Copilot, which is a very powerful AI coding assistant. And then the Hugging Chat, which where you can explore several models, and you can probably use the models to tune your data set as well, and you can make interesting inferences. So it talked about the Hugging Face, which is actually also which houses open source models. You can have proprietary access, and you can explore tons of data sets from different fields. So there's the other one which is called Spaces, where it's a platform for agents review of models. There are so many developers who are probably developed some models. They would want a review of their model so that you can just check the performance evaluation. And then there's the POE, where the platform, the speaker mentioned that it is an app. You can also download it as an app, rather. There's a web-based version also. You can explore several models at a relatively cheap fee, compared to you having to pay for the standalone subscription of other AI models. So that is just about the summary. I'm not sure I've done justice to it, but you can also make reference to the recording afterwards. So we are now in the questions and answers section, and I can see ants already. So, Engineer Idris, you have the floor. Please go ahead before we start reading out the questions also.
Thank you very much, the moderator.
Yes, sir.
I really appreciate the speaker for the well prepared and delightful lecture. So more, I wish him a very best future therein. And moreover, I just want to ask that I want to contribute that apart from all those tools that you had presented, you had given us, I think Microsoft also give us some opportunities like the Azure for those that need the cloud, that need the cloud as a service, the platform as a service, PS, SAS, and IAS. They have a platform for students too, so they can actually use and to use for their various projects that has to do with cloud. Then, moreover, about the when he was talking about the presentation, he gave us some tools, and there was this tool he was trying to you know compare before the chat GPT 4.0. Yeah, when he said well, he doesn't know the price of GPT 4.0 subscription. I think per month is 35,000 won, if I'm not mistaken. So that means the one he quoted was better off because that one combined two or three advantages. It's like you're having two or three features or two or three products in one. So I think that one is better than the subscription of 5,000 per month. Then, secondly, I just want to say that regarding the institution, they have made some courses available, some on-demand courses. Like if one visits the library, the kudos page, I was fortunate to visit it about 2 weeks ago when I saw that they had an orientation for new students. They called it Education Week. So in that very program, I was able to benefit from you know an industry-led course. Specifically, the course was EndNote, referencing management software. So I think this is just another tool that one can benefit. Although I didn't listen to, I couldn't get the full grasp of it because it was in Korean. Do you understand? I registered for the course from the school webpage, and but that was just the limitation anyway. But this is just to say that one more of this, and I just want to congratulate the NSA for a very yet another great opportunity for information dissemination, and more power to your elbows. Thank you so much once again. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Engineer Idris, for the wonderful suggestion and also some clarity. And I don't know if Engineer Kudus would like to add one or two things to it. I understand that you only made suggestions as well.
Yes. So thank you very much for the contribution, and thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Actually, if you go through the GitHub student pack, Microsoft Azure is also access is also provided. Is part of the pack. So, but what I actually want us to the takeaway I want us to get from here is that there are, as a student, there are a lot of opportunities and tools that we actually access for free. Even Google has a lot of packages, tools that are freely available for us students. So what I just want us to do is let's try as much as possible to explore and look for more tools to actually suit our needs. So thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, Engineer, okay, okay. Engineer Abdullah, yeah. The PRO, please proceed.
Thank you so much for the sex. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, Mr. Moderator, thank you for the audience and then the speaker. Actually, this is indeed a session that we all have enjoyed. I want to ask few questions. I called a few because I'll be breaking the question into two sections. One is the ethical side of all of this AI tools you made mention of. However, you told us to read through some of them when you were showing us that of the KNU website, that there is an ethical information that we could go through. However, looking at the research environment now presently, it is more like we have little or nothing to do. Is this something we should encourage by showing, by keep preaching, we should all go back into the use of AI tools, and all that? What is the future of these tools and how sustainable would it be in the long run? Because now breeding new researchers and feeding them all of these tools, what danger do we think is we are pushing forward into the society? The more we keep doing, the more the harm, I believe. So what is the perspective of the speaker in this regard? That is the first one. Then secondly, uh, in terms of originality of research, looking at plagiarism and all that, with the use of these AI tools, if we are to make a publication or we are writing a research regarding this, are we advised to make mention that we use all of these tools in the course of the research? Or if we decide not to make mention of these tools, ethically, are we doing the right thing or not? So thank you. Those are my two questions.
All right. So thank you very much, our able PR. So to actually answer the question, so the first question is my perspective about the use of AI tools in research. So actually, there's one thing I don't want us. There is one misconception I would not want us to have, which is that the AI tool will help us to write the, let's say, research paper, or the AI tools are here to actually ease anything we want to do, like ease the work, not necessarily not to necessarily go against. For example, what these tools will just do is to ease the search process. For example, now on Perplexity now, like recently, in recent time, at times if I want to look for a findings that actually back up my, let's say, my results, I can actually go on Perplexity AI, put that result, okay, search for literature that actually back this up. Now, once I do that, I can actually extract, get, instead of going through Google Scholar, trying to read, check a lot of papers, and trying to fine tune to actually get the result I want. If I go on Perplexity, it will actually give me the exact paper I need. So it will reduce the time I use in searching for the paper. So what I just want us to know is, okay, these two, they are here to like support us, not to actually become the paper writer. Mostly when they write paper, when you're reading output from AI models, you will actually know that this is the output from AI model. And mostly most of the AI models, they still hallucinate. Like the hallucination problem is still one of the uh, area they are trying to work on in the research sphere. So another thing is the ethical aspects. Okay, before I go to that, the other aspect is that I want us to know is that these tools are here to stay. So whether we like it or not, whether we use it or not, they are just here to stay. So they are here to help us optimize our research process and enhance our productivity. So they are here to stay. So the other question is the ethical aspects. Now, the main reason why I try to run away from the ethics aspects is because I'm not a full-time AI researcher. So what I'm just doing is get the tools, the AI tools. If you notice my presentation, I try to run away from the ethical aspects because I'm not a full-time AI researcher. But, and when we talk about ethics, ethics is like, when I made the research about ethics, I observed that ethics differs based on field. So that's why what I just did is, okay, research ethics. I introduced us to the page where we can actually read more about the research ethics. And I think some of the most journal now, they actually recommend that you should announce the use of AI, generative AI in your paper. So, and I think for us to be ethical in our research, the best thing for us to do is, for every journal we want to, our journal, interested journal, prospective journal, let's try as much as possible to read the author guidelines. And from there, we can actually get more information whether this journal actually accepts the use of generative AI for our research or not. So thank you very much. I don't know if I've answered your question, sir.
The PRO.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yeah, I have a few things to say concerning ethics as well, but I'll just wait until we okay. We have engineering, but shall I please proceed?
All right. Good evening, everyone, and good day to people joining us from afar. So I think generally the speaker has done quite well. So I was going to mention that most journals already have, especially like I'm sure of the Elsevier journals, most of them already have guidelines for the use of AI. So if you just want to, if you make use of AI, there's like a section where you can just mention it that maybe you use generative AI, so that you don't have maybe any issues or conflict. So they are encouraging it. So I think there was once upon a time, before the invention of the calculator, when the calculator came, there was a misconception that it would send mathematicians away. But today now we came when they were giving birth to like all of us here. I believe we met a calculator, a form, like this, a mini form of a calculator, whatever, and we all use it today. So the point is, even when Google search came to at the time, people were clamoring that this is going to do this and that and this and that. The truth is, the coming generation now, they would come and they will meet AI. They will not, they will ask you, how were you working without AI during your own time? So the truth of the matter is that it is here to stay, and those who embrace it is that the people that will actually like probably go far if you get in this, because we are in a totally AI driven generation, and it's only going to get is it better going forward. So I think the for me, yeah, the contribution I was going to make was that there's for people that actually maybe do work here. For example, if you have, let's say for example, you do 3D design for people using tools like AutoCAD, SolidWorks, and the like, you can get free student license. But from an ethical perspective, you cannot charge people, do you understand, for any design you are making for a client using what did they call it? Using the student access. So student access is majorly meant for your class work, your research work, anything that is not going to be profitable to you. Now you might ask that how will they know that I created this with the student access? So it depends on which client you're working for, first of all. Then it also depends on how good or how massive that product gets. So once it gets to a certain level, the people at, let's say, Autodex, for example, they would check and they will see that the license that was used to produce this is a straight license. Now, if it boils back to you, we're talking about millions of dollars in lawsuits. You understand what I'm saying? So for whoever your client is and whoever you are, even jail them can go out to what's that. So when you want to do certain things, you have to make sure that as long as you are working, do not use any educational tool to work. Any tool you got with student license, do not make profit of it. You might look at it that your work is not going to go far, like it will not get to a certain level. But trust me, you don't know people that develop. There's a guy that developed a game, Wado. He developed it for his girlfriend during the pandemic that she was disturbing him. The product was gotten by, I think, was it Microsoft for $1 million. Everybody was playing Wado around pandemic time. Like you have guess like 5 guesses to turn to green and red and yellow, depending on how you guess the words. So he didn't know that I was going to go that far. He just developed it for his girlfriend so that she doesn't disturb him during his free time. And she shared it with some of her friends, and they share with some of their friends, and they share with some of their friends, and all of a sudden it blew up globally for a very big company to come and buy at $1 million. You know how much $1 million is? So the truth of the matter is, he didn't know it was going to go that far. But if he had broken any rules at the time or he had done anything at the time, then it will boil back to him. It will damage his reputation. He could be sued. What was supposed to be a blessing for him will now become something that is hanging over his neck forever. You go to jail for it. So the emphasis is to make sure that whatever you get for student access, keep it strictly to student use. So also do not use I like the fact that we've been exposed to student access. So do not also use crack software for client work. So if you are doing any work for anybody, the emphasis is to make sure that you don't use student license or any illegal license. They all have a way to come back in the future if, once again, if whatever project you are doing now goes big. So you don't know what tomorrow. So these two things, I want to make sure that we have the constitution for it, even in your research too. If, for example, you are using crack software in your lab to do certain things, you have to make sure to tell your prof that this is not something that we want to be using. If they are not student access to it, then you guys should probably find a way to find an educational license, which is most likely always cheaper than the general use license, so that you can use it for your research. The point I'm just trying to pass is that we have to, this is contradicting the whole ethical considerations that we've been talking about. And I saw that maybe we was not really mentioned during this program. So please and please, whatever we do for our research and for whatever, let's make sure we are not using crack software for research that we are doing that we're going to publish. And also we should also not be using how will I put it, educational license to do professional work. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, Engineer Boshola, for a very comprehensive explanation about ethics. I was gonna say a few things, but I think you already clarified. I would just add that the concept of ethics actually goes beyond just studentship. If you're into corporate activities, then you have to be very, very, very careful, as he had rightly said, and also as the speaker had said. Just recently, we had a case at the in one of my professional platforms, the water resources platform, and it's still currently being debated because I think yeah, the goal is with student subscription, you can do just about anything, and eventually, if it blows up, so I would like to correct that part. Eventually, if it blows up, then it will still be referred to the time when you started using that software or whatever package that you use at that time. If you're still a student and then you had a student subscription, no matter how big the project becomes, I think you're still safe. However, if it goes beyond studentship and you're no longer a student and you probably use a cracked version paid project, for a paid project, regardless of how large or how small scale the thing is, and then you may actually face the wrath of ethics. And it's a big deal because when they discuss ethics at the professional level, honestly speaking, you ignore every single profession that you have. Then you focus more on what is the legal implication. So we have to be very, very careful. But luckily, we can enjoy the moment now that we are students. However, that does not justify that we should use crack version. We can get student license to every single software because even the developer wants you to like promote the product. So you can always you can always get access to the student version. So if you don't have the funding in the lab to get like the subscription, and then you can send a mail to the company requesting when you state your detail and then you do your details and you state your objective, write a very good supporting letter. I think you can get a student license. So, however, beyond the school, please, you have to be very, very careful. So it's a very serious situation. That's just what I would like to say, just to corroborate what every single person had been saying. So it's more or less like a discussion platform now, and I believe our speaker is also still on ground to address any other question. So I'll be taking some questions there. If you have any question, please do not hesitate to drop it in the chat box, or you probably just indicate by raising your hand, and I'll just acknowledge you so that you can have the floor. So to the speaker, are there specific signs or red flags that suggest a digital tool may not be suitable for academic use? Specific signs or red flags that suggest a tool may not be suitable for academic use. Engineer Kudus?
Yes. Hello.
Yeah. Did you get the question? Or you want me to?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Specific signs or so for signs. Actually, I've not actually noticed one, but one thing I also want us to check is we need to check the license of maybe license and also check whether the tools has been referenced, because there are some tools. There are, for example, even if you look at tools like some AI tools that they use, they still publish paper on it that will be peer reviewed and update. And even some of the tools that are being used, we also I'm sure will have gone through testing stage and the like. So I think it would be better for us to, for that answer, I don't know, I don't have a very direct answer to that, but it will be very applicable for us to check, to read the manual of the paper and check the credibility of any tool or software that actually release the tools. I think maybe Obas want to make contribution and engineering question.
Me, I'm not making contribution. I have question you.
Okay, maybe engineering wants to contribute.
All right. So I think I get the red flag part, like the signs maybe not so much, but the red flag at least. The major thing is that we don't want to upload sensitive data to some of these platforms, especially the online ones, because some of them will literally tell you. Now, the truth of the matter is, something like ChatGPT, for example, will not carry your data and give it to the how would I put it, to a competitive researcher. To maybe when you now search for a study, they will now see your data. No, it doesn't work that way. You are like a fish in the ocean. Do you get? They are literally trained on the entire internet. That's the data. You hear something like 100 billion parameters, this and that. Then they can't just train based on whatever you have provided to them, like at that point, and just use it immediately and just give it back to no. That's not how all of these things work. But the truth of the matter is that the data can also be, if it's especially if it contains sensitive information of people. Do you understand? Like actual people, real life people, or real life projects, like that have real life implications that are not supposed to be in public. In the future, it might come out. So the point is, the major thing is you don't really want to find a way to dumbify your data. You understand? Like just take your data and dumbify it. Like how will I put it? If for example you have like 7 columns now in your data, take those columns by themselves and just use the columns, then provide like maybe data types of those columns instead of actual values. Then tell maybe the ChatGPT or whatever the kind of analysis that you want to do, as opposed to carrying your data and throwing it there. I don't know if so. That's like a mini red flag. So it's not in the way that most people think, but at least just to be safe with privacy. So it's also ethical that we don't really share personal information with LLMs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer. But please hold on, Engineer Vase. I think your question might be on another thing entirely. But if it is related to this, maybe I should let you have the floor. Or I should let me just proceed with this. Basically, on what was that? On yeah. So it's common practice for Nigerians. We are all Nigerians that when we probably install a new software, there's the terms and condition part. We don't read. We don't, because it's always very bulky. It's always very lengthy. We don't read. But there is this part that talks about data sharing. So we have to be very, very careful about that. Now, within the academic realm, we may feel, oh, yeah, I'm a student. I can just go about do anything whatsoever with my student license. Yeah, that works. But if there's the part that you're using this thing for a project, you should read the NDA part. There is the non-disclosure agreement part. If you come across that, if you violate that, it has serious ethical penalty. So probably if we start taking up projects and we see things like this, we should focus more on the NDA part. If you're signing an NDA with a project body or probably a software provider, we have to be very, very careful so that we understand the terms and the conditions. So that's just what I want to chip in. Yes, Engineer Basisa, you have the floor.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator, and then the able lecturer. So basically, I've been a strong advocate of trying to look into research outcome to propose solutions, because I recently discovered that if you want to make a very, very promising application or software or solutions, I think we should also give some trust to the research outcome. I mean, we never knew that the attention is all you needed could actually be like taken seriously by a company, and now is multi-billion dollars, or so to say. So now, however, I also got to a crossroad where I saw a paper, and the solution that was proposed was very, very fantastic, and the solution is really, really good. So, but at this point, I am kind of curious, do I need to reach out to the researcher or the lab, or to what's it called, before I could pick up their work and decide to use it for my application? So specifically, I'm trying to talk about a solution that is actually not something that people have actually started using. They just released the paper a few months ago, and they released the code. Can I package the code, brush it up, wrap it around something that is, I need to do some additional work anyway. It's just as we know for many research outcome, but the work is really, really very, very fantastic. So what do I do? Do I need to reach out to the to the research team that I want to use their work, or I can just they've released the code, open source the code? Can I just use it and package it, and then possibly if it blows up also?
Yeah, Engineer Kudus. Oh, do we have anyone who can take that? I might have a few ideas. Okay, briefly within within just 1 minute per person. Please,
Thank
can you try to
you.
address it?
Thank you,
Since this
Mr.
is just like a discussion platform now,
Moderator.
I will also make
Mr.
effort.
Moderator,
Hmm.
this is very great opportunity again to talk on this. One, you have to contact the owners of the papers or the owner of the idea, the code. You have to contact them first. The reason is this: if you contact them first, before you'll be able to know the terms and condition of the usage, whether it's allowed for you to do that. Because you know there are usually more than one author. So the main author should be able to give you a full, the guideline and the conditions of the usage. So as against just using it directly, because by doing that, maybe tantamount can be tantamount to litigation or something. So that's my own idea. Then secondly, on the ethical part again, I'm an advocate of ethics in AI based work, because when I was working in Nigeria, I worked on a medical data set. When we have to when we had to get consent, informed consent, they call it informed consent, based on getting the approval of the patient whom you wish to get data from. So they believe these patients are, naive. They don't know much about it, but they believe that the privacy has to be taken in a high esteem. So no matter what you are doing, ethics is still a very great, point and a very great factor in the success of our research. If you don't know, we have to know. And regardless of our field, these days we now have interdisciplinary research, whereby if you say I'm just into networking, I'm not into maybe healthcare, who says you cannot work in healthcare sector tomorrow? So these days we are focused more on interdisciplinary research, and ethics, knowledge, and practice has to be taken in high esteem. Thank you very much. So, and this means you have to get the approval of for example, in KNU, you have if you are working on a medical data set, you need to get approval of they call it IRB, Institutional Research Board. So the IRB is just like an administrative part, a specialized department in the College of Health Science or in the College of Medicine that look into getting the ethical approval. And if you notice, some of these papers that you are working on,
We are still lining up. Oh.
you are lying on. Don't worry, I will wrap up now. So just you have to get it.
Just a comment now.
Yeah, I think thank you so much. So we are going to like uh restrict the what do you call it? The comment to like 1 minute max because we are currently in another uh, so please proceed, engineer. Thank you so much, engineer Idris, for the wonderful
Engineer Idris,
contribution.
thank you. God
Yeah.
bless you.
And,
Engineer Abbas, please,
and,
you need to
and
unmute your mic. You ask the question. First of all, we need clarity for we to contribute adequately to this.
mm,
One, the code is not published. From your question, from
The
your
code
statement,
has been released. It's open source. It's on
okay,
the
the code is released as an open source,
yes,
right? Good.
yes.
And the paper is published already.
The what?
The paper is published already.
Yes.
Good. So one, I don't see reason why you should contact them in order to even progress in modifying the code. For them to have released it as an open source, so definitely they want it as a reference for future research in terms of modification. That is the essence of making your code open for access. It is not like saying every code I see on GitHub, I don't have access to use it. So there is also rights before publicity. While publishing a paper, a statement is written in terms of publicity when it comes to your code and even your data sets. For reproduction, for in terms of reproduction, in order for other researchers to be able to reproduce on this particular disk or enhance the progress of the research. So do you agree to social terms? I have a code that is published in one of my papers as well. So I believe it is, I don't need, nobody needs to contact you in order for them to make it. Only if a certain aspect of that code is hidden and you need more clarity into it. So the ethical aspect of it, I believe that there's no issue in terms of any ethical aspect in
Okay.
that regard.
Thank you so much for that perspective as well. So, I think Engineer Egbe, right? Do you want to add?
Yeah.
Then
So I
in
didn't
30
know that
seconds, please,
I
because
didn't know
the
my
is
able PR was going to comment. So I was going to say exactly the same thing I said.
okay.
As long as the code has, because there's license on GitHub too. So we have open source license, like a couple of them. So once you just check it, you will see that you can actually use it. You don't need to contact anybody. Just carry the code and modify as you please. But make sure to cite them as the original. I think that's our own duty as
Hmm.
researchers. So you cite them that your code or whatever you're working on is based on the work by so and so in so and so year and so.
Okay. Thank you so much, Engineer Rebeshola. So, the speaker, please, or I will give you 1 minute.
All right, sir. Okay, thank you very much. I'll actually like to make a very short comment
Yes.
because if you go to open source, there are different licenses. There are some license you can take the code, modify everything about that code. There are some license you cannot modify the code. For example, like I will just advise us to go through and read the details of each license. For example, the MIT license, this license. There are some license you can use the tool, you can use it, but you cannot modify the original code. There are licenses like that. There are some license you can modify some part of the code, while there are some license you can just inherit some function from it and update it in your own application. So I would advise us to actually go through the and read the nitty gritty of the code based license. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. I think all discussants have provided several perspectives, and then our honorable speaker has been able to like he has given us I think the best version of it is to go through the license. I just want to say just one thing about a possible scenario that the authors of that particular project might have published their code to GitHub or whichever repository, probably solely for reproducibility, right? It could be just be for reproducibility. They just want to like reproduce it because there are some journals that will request that you provide your code and they try some functions and see whether they can still reproduce what you have quoted in your paper. So probably at the end of that, probably after the submission, maybe the authors may have forgotten, just peradventure, may have forgotten to like probably privatize their code. So to be clear, so that we will not be propagating error, it's very important to check with the authors. In my opinion, that it's very important to check with the authors. It's possible that they still have their code because they feel the journals that they may still have ongoing submissions. We wouldn't know, probably for another project, and they still use the same code. So it's very important to probably check with the main source so that we will not be propagating errors. Our time is far spent, and I know the questioner actually knows better than the than the moderator in with respect to this particular field. So we really appreciate Engineer Bashikori for bringing such a thought-provoking question up, and I believe that every single person has benefited from this immensely. Engineer Idris, please permit me to move to the next section. Please, we can still have a talk about it after the section, please. Our time is fast spent, and I'm currently in contact with. We'll be moving straight to the vote of thanks section, and then we'll have the VP. We'll have the VP to take the vote of thanks. After the vote of thanks, and if we still have sufficient time, maybe we can still discuss. But I doubt so because yeah, our time is fast spent. We want to from my end, I really want to appreciate the speaker for doing justice to this particular thing. I've taken notes comprehensively, and I've learned quite a lot. I believe every single person has done so too. So I'll call on the VP, there you go, Engineer Abatunde Kodri, to give the vote of thanks on behalf of the president. VP, sir. Is the VP with us? Okay. I think the VP might be busy. Okay, I'll give while the VP prepares his vote of thanks. Engineer Idris, are you still with us? You can just chip in your suggestion, your comment or question within 30 seconds. Engineer Idris?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
I concluded it. I was just talking
Okay.
about the need to be more ethically inclined. So,
Okay. Because
thank you.
I discovered that you raised your hand. So I was like,
Sorry, I didn't drop it then. Sorry then.
okay, okay. Okay, so I just received notification from the VP that is currently unavailable. So in the light of that, I will take it. I want to appreciate every single person who has made it a point of duty to be here. Without you, we wouldn't have been able to do this. And also, I would like to appreciate our guest speaker for taking out time out of his very, very busy schedule to present this wonderful and interesting lecture. We want to believe that we have benefited immensely. I don't know if the new scholars also are here because I think I can see a new face, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Mr. Shegun Ogundele, but I don't know if the person is a new scholar. However, we would like to enjoin our new scholars to participate more in our knowledge sharing sessions. And please be aware that, be informed that we'll have a recording of this on our platforms, on the NSA KNU platform, the YouTube, and the website, hopefully. And then, so I appreciate all knowledge sharing members. They have worked assiduously to give us this platform. I appreciate the presence of the president and the VP and all that dignitaries. I also appreciate the presence of every single member. Thank you so much for making it a date with us. Hopefully, as soon as we get feedback from one of our missed sessions, we would like to have one more session before we call it a wrap this month. It's been wonderful having you all here. Thank you so much for coming. I wish you a wonderful evening. Have a lovely day. Bye. Kazamidan.